finally come for those brave enough to step beyond the lands of Trove and face new challenges. With the help of the mysterious voyager Rowan, Trovians have come together to earn their place amongst the storied Sunseekers and save a peaceful planet from the darkening shadow. Become the light that wards away the shadow. Begin your journey to Geode.
Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. I hope you guys enjoyed the little trailer. It is of course for Geode. We had this summer, not for the Crystal Combat, coming out tomorrow for consoles. We have had it on the PC, and Lazaria, the Club Lazaria, made a contest, and 3 winners got picked for dividing really nice and helpful information to the people coming in to the console update. And I wanted to feature this on this video, so you guys, if you're already on PC, maybe you didn't know, there was a few things I didn't know actually, but it could help us all for for the console players to start, and maybe some of us that already has played the Geode top side of the game basically. So if you guys of course like this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's just jump into the first tip. So the first tip comes from Altaria, and the person was asked, what is your advice for the Crystal Combat update? And the person says, level all your Radiant and Stellar gems, including your Empowered, and all your Elemental gems, that includes Water, Air and Fire, not just your Cosmic, to level 15, and then Decon. And Decon is of course for deconstruct or loot collect these gems, because as the person says, this will always result you getting more dust from basically almost nothing. And it also stacks with Wednesdays, in the sense of you have a dust reduction cost on Wednesdays. If you're non-patron, that's 10%. If you are patron, it's 20%. It also stacks with the fixture there is from clubs, if you have that one. So basically you can level up very cheap, and then you can deconstruct them. You can also do this on Wednesday, it doesn't matter, and you will get more dust back. And also by leveling it up to 15, you can also see if it's gems you actually want to keep around for your main class or other classes that you have. So this was basically tip number 1, and let's get to tip number 2. Tip number 2 comes from Crazy Crit, and he actually managed to find out there was actually some order to all the craziness. And we've been talking about this a lot on stream, about actually the outpost, but I didn't know there was actually a pattern to the 5 stars and the 3-star dungeon. So as you can see right here on the picture, and I feel like it's very self-explanatory, where it's kind of like you see the grid, you see them going in a straight line and also in a diagonal line. And so if you have this grid over the whole map, you can go from one dungeon and go to somewhere else, and there should be spawning either a 5-star or a 3-star dungeon. So if you're hunting 5-star dungeon, these are actually absolutely amazing to just follow the grid around in the Geode top side. So I don't know if there's much more to explain to this particular tip, because it's kind of it kind of explains itself, right? The whole how basically the dungeons are laid out, and I had again no idea that that these 5 stars and 3 stars actually spawned like this. The 1 stars and of course the outposts still are random. There's no pattern to those, but they actually found a pattern to the big dungeon, which is amazing, because then you can basically hunt these 5 stars. So I think that's enough on the second tip, but again, you can pause the video if you want to see the grid again, and or maybe rewatch it, whatever. But I'm gonna head on to tip number 3. Alright, so tip 3, it comes from Bishu, and the first line says, Cosmic gems are a new type which can only be found in stellar quality tops. There's no new tier, gem tier, and that's of course because now you can get crystal gear, but the top tier of gems is still only going to be stellar. So that's what the first line means. There will, of course, there is smaller tiers in the lower difficulties, but the first line is just basically there's no higher than stellar for gems. Only gear can be crystal. So going on in this post, it says for grinding the new U10 and U9 and 10 topside, you are going to want as much light as you can get for all this piercing through all the resistance of creatures. So light is of course armor penetration. I've made a video talking about that. Also that the armor on monsters is called dark or darkness, and you have the light, you penetrate the darkness with your light basically, and that's what the person is saying. In Geode, surfers have. A good way to have a lot of light is and still have overall good stats is to have 2 sets of cosmic stellar gems. One set bringing you the regular grinding set where you have all 3 rolls on the light stat, and the other set with all on like gems for shadow towers, like all the rolls on either physical damage or magic damage, or on on crit damage if that's what you are missing. Because stellar gems, or the cosmic gems basically, those is always going to roll with the light stat on it, the armor penetration, and you cannot re-roll this stat from anything else. So if you want these 2 sets, if you're an in-game player, because you do have to swap them out if that's what you want, or you can have it on 2 different classes. If you have one class that you farm a lot of Geode with, and then you have a character you farm a lot of shadow towers with, you can have it on both. But the person basically here means that you can have 2 sets around if you want to, where all the basically extra stats that happens when you hit level 5 on a gem and level 10 and level 15, you know, it gets those extra bumps. And you can also see it in the Gem Forge, where you can see those small bumps on the basically the different stats. And maybe you want one where you can get a lot of their in the beginning. If you're trying to go from 9 to 10, it could be awesome if you get some of the bumps on just the light stat, so you can go through 8, 9 before you head into 10, like really easy and such. That could be an option. Not that I wanted to use any rerolls on lesser than stellar gems basically, but this is what the person means, of course, with this tip. It's maybe more of an in-game player tip, but it's still a very good tip if you really want to get into farming U9 and U10 of the Geode topside. And of course the last is cosmic gems, or also arcane cosmic gems, cannot roll PD, and I call them first ones cannot roll MD, and of course that MD stands for magic damage and the other stands for physical damage. So if it has that tag in its name, then it can only roll into magic damage. It can also roll into other stats, but just not physical damage, for example, if it has the arcane title on it. So a little bit of a explanation to this tip, but I think we're gonna cut it here with the third tip. So let's head into the end here. So again, if you guys enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed these tips, make sure you guys like, subscribe. Also, if you guys have other tips and whatnot, make sure you guys put them in the description, and they might help out some more people. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!